Welcome back, Creepaholics crew. I'm your host, Shanice, and tonight we're creeping into one of the most disturbing unsolved mysteries from my very own hometown of Midland, Ontario. This is Case 7, File Number 3, the stabbing of Cindy Halliday, 28 years ago. So grab your flashlights, lock those doors tight, and let's creep on down the dark and eerie trail together. Cindy was a bright and adventurous 17-year-old who lived in Midland, Ontario. Her parents described her as an outgoing, independent, always one to make friends easily. Cindy was close to her family, particularly her mother, but most of her teen years, she enjoyed having her space and often stayed with friends for a couple of days at a time. Her mother, Lynn, remembered Cindy's smile, would light up the room, and her friends would describe her as a fun-loving, carefree, and always up for adventure. Cindy had a trusty nature, which tragically may have had a part in what led to her ultimate death. April 20th, 1992 was a typical spring morning in Midland, but for Cindy, it would be her last. She had spent some time with her friends in nearby Midhurst and was planning to head back to Midland that day. Cindy's morning started off normally. She would wake up, share a few words with her friends, and made plans to hitchhike back to Midland, which she had done many times before. At around 2 p.m., Cindy was last seen by a passerby on Highway 27 attempting to hitch a ride. It was a common practice in those days, especially in small towns, but it's what unlikely placed her in danger. Witnesses later reported seeing a young woman matching Cindy's description getting into a vehicle that afternoon, but no one could identify the driver or the vehicle's make and model with certainty. Her routine had been typical up until that point, but that would be the last time anyone saw her alive. When Cindy failed to return home, her parents immediately grew concerned. They knew something was wrong. It wasn't like her to go off the grid. The next morning, on April 21st, her mother contacted the Midland Police to report her missing. A massive search began with police scouring the highways and back roads, interviewing anyone who might have seen Cindy that day. The police, friends, and family canvassed the area, but days turned into weeks and there was still no sign of Cindy. Tragically, on May 17, 1992, almost a month after she disappeared, Cindy's body would be discovered in a wooded area off Horseshoe Valley Road near Midhurst, about 15 kilometers from where she was last seen. She had been brutally stabbed to death. The investigation turned chaotic the moment Cindy's body was found. The crime scene was not immediately taped off, and by the time forensic teams got there, valuable evidence had been compromised. It took several hours for the forensic team to reach the location, and even though they collected samples, the case became more difficult to investigate due to the passage of time and the potential contamination of evidence. Forensics determined that Cindy had likely been sexually assaulted before she was murdered. DNA was collected, but with technology available at the time, there wasn't enough DNA to identify a suspect conclusively. The injuries Cindy sustained were brutal, indicating a forensic fight, but no murder weapon was ever found at the crime scene. The police had several leads, but none of them panned out. There were numerous suspects ranging from Cindy's acquaintances to strangers who had reportedly been seen hitchhiking in the area around the time she vanished. One suspect in particular stood out, a man with a well-known history in the area, but there wasn't enough physical evidence to tie him to Cindy's murder. As the years passed and new advancements in DNA technology gave Cindy's family hope that the killer might finally been identified. In 2018, the provincial police announced that they were revisiting the case and using modern forensic techniques to analyze the DNA collected from Cindy's body. Still, no breakthroughs have been made public. Is there still hope for justice? Despite the passage of nearly 30 years, there remains a glimmer of hope that Cindy's killer will be brought to justice. The OPP continues to encourage anyone with information to come forward, and advancements in cold case investigations give Cindy's family and the community of Midland a reason to believe that one day they may find the answers they've been waiting for. If you enjoy this podcast and would like to support more episodes like this, consider joining our Creepaholics crew. You can support us for as little as 99 cents or $4.99 a month. Every bit helps keep the stories alive, and you can directly impact the work we do. Now let's keep the chills coming. If you or anyone has any information about the unsolved murder of Cindy Halliday, please contact the OPP or Midland authorities. The case number is 92-12567. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to Creepaholics so you never miss a story of crime, mystery, or the downright eerie. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, keep your hearts open, your minds alert, and don't stop shining your light in the shadows. Remember, keep creeping it real, Creepaholics crew.